Yo, so I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it. Listen,
Fellas,
it's
it's
just
gonna
so,
be one of them nights.
it's going to be, I'm telling you.
Oh. Man, what's happening, man? Another Tuesday night at 9. Prototype Dad, we live. You know what I'm saying? Some new things have happened in this last week, and everybody's kind of raving about it. You know what I'm saying? About this. Trump signing the DI, what is the DEI initiative? Getting rid of DEI initiative throughout the government, and other companies following suit. To kind of jump right in it, why do y'all think Trump or organizations? Because people just signing papers for whoever paying them the money, right? Why do you think these organizations, or even if Trump feels this way, had the need or felt it necessary to move these policies, that were created to seemingly help society? You know what I'm saying? What you got, Mo?
So, I mean, literally, this is some of the stuff that he ran on, man. He basically said he's making America great again. For whom? I know it begs that question, but man, he's rolling back some of the things that is taking it back to what it was. This country was created for white men. Um, so a lot of it is based upon that, man. Like the white man feel like they've been done a disservice and they've been losing their stronghold on what this country is and everything that this country promised them in the beginning. So they're kind of trying to turn back the clock, and a lot of it is doing away with some of the things that you know and I've talked about this before, and I think we'll probably go into it a little bit more. Like, they can be pro something and not anti something else. And I think that's a lot of what they're doing. They're just trying to make America great again.
What's your thoughts on it, Lee?
Man, yeah, it's funny because I don't know that, hmm, and maybe it will in some way, but I don't know that it has the massive effect on the people it was supposed to service in the first place. Because the one of the major, I guess, winners of DEI was white women. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, and the people who benefited the least from DEI was African Americans, women and men. So we benefited the least um from it. So, I think where it's going to hit is, you know, a lot of those jobs where that white women were getting, in massive, because in a lot of the companies, man, you see in the, it's funny because you'll see, they'll have these DEI committees, like they were having these DEI committees, and uh, you know, in a lot of the meetings, you would see all these different people in there, and there might be like two or three black people on the DEI committee, and it'll be led by somebody else. But yeah, I think, I don't know that it'll, it'll have some significance or some effect, on people of color. But man, I don't know if it's going to have the major effect that we think it's going to have. I think it's going to be moving along in the same way it's been going. But I think who it's going to surprise a lot are uh, those Asian Americans, those Latin Americans, that voted for Trump heavy. You know what I mean? Thinking that he was going to be, supportive, and thinking that these things were going to affect us. and move us out the way. And really, it moved them out the way in education. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, it moved them out the way. So, um,
Shout
yeah,
out
I,
to
I think
States.
I think we're, I think it's not really gonna. Maybe it will, but I don't know if it's going to affect us enough for it to stop, because we've been affected by so many things. There's been so many things in the way we just keep operating. Like, it just is what it is. We expect it to be you know what I mean, some kind of, some kind of blockade in front of us. So I don't necessarily think it's going to have that major effect on us as some might hope it will.
But that's not the question, though. The question is, why you think they felt to remove it, though? Like, why would they be like, this got to get out of here?
Well,
Because the white man, the
But
white man.
I want you to say your opinion, because I got my opinion, but I want you to
yeah.
say yours.
Well, I think they're moving out of the way, because I think, it's funny, because I think there's a lot of people who think that they're moving it out of the way because they want to negatively affect black people. You know what I mean? And I don't necessarily think that that is the reasoning behind it, although I think it may have some effect, nominal as it may be. But I think the reason why they are doing it is because of some of the other effects that's going down there, and they're trying to stop a lot of how they're doing with um the education, where you're not allowed to teach certain things, where, so I think this is just a part of that bigger picture. They're trying to bring everything in and be able to kind of bring back their old cronyism without having any negative effect.
I think they want their women back. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. This whole gender war or whatever. I don't know if y'all remember when I started bringing up the MGTOW stuff, and I was telling y'all what it was, and y'all was like, "What is that?" You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's white men mad that they women is like they can't control their women, like, or they can't get a hold of it, like they're getting the short end of the stick. They're going their own way. You know what I mean? We got to get our women back. Because I mean, I think everybody understands that the root cause of the base of society, right, is the nuclear family, right? And if the most successful group race, right, if the most successful group is keeping, got the highest rate of nuclear family, and like white men are like, oh, like we're just going down a total. I think they're third. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they're competing with us. Like they always feel like they got an upper hand on us.
Third in what?
So I think it's like Indians and Asians, and then it's like, yeah, like it's like Indians, Asians, and somebody else has a higher rate of nuclear family.
Oh, marriage rate. Oh, gotcha.
Marriage
Okay.
rate, yeah.
Okay.
So they're dropping. I think they're third or fourth. You know what I'm saying? Or they might be third or something like that. But I think they understand it goes hand in hand. Like, if you want to get back on the top, or the top level, well, we're gonna need our women back. We're gonna have to get our women back in board. So if the DEI is really helping the white women, and I'm sure they know that, right? They're like, like everybody might think like, oh, it's the black thing or whatever, but I'm sure they know who's taking advantage of what. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been plenty of conversations. I ain't gonna say arguments. I've been in plenty of conversations about welfare, and when you hear white people raving about welfare and all that kind of stuff, they not talking about black people. They talking about the white people they know that are taking advantage of the welfare system. Like, what I'm saying? And that's what they're truly pissed on. They're not even looking at us as competition in that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or because we're too small of a butt. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not talking about them. We're talking about the people that's actually using our tax dollars, and we're just casualties of that war. Like, you know what I mean? I think a lot of things trickle to it, but maybe it was initially to aim at us, but the way it's taking them out, them being like a secondary casualty, I think their casualty numbers is too high, and they're not risking it. They don't want to risk it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I would think like we need to get our women back. So if we remove this initiative, then our women are forced to go back into their rightful position. Maybe.
No, I think you're right. But and I think that plays exactly into what I was saying, was the white man's looking to get his mantle back as the king of the jungle.
Yeah.
And everything that comes with that. You know what I mean? So
here's an interesting perspective though, right? how does this move affect education and what people are going to school for? Because here's what we know, and I'll sparkle this. Here's what we know: white women go to school to meet their mate, so they don't necessarily major in things that make money. They'll go for pottery and go meet John, an accountant that's going to be an accountant, a banker, a lawyer, and ride that. But because they have a degree or with this, and the DEI exists, and they'll get a job with AT&T, still making them plenty of money, and in return they'll be like, well, I don't need my white spouse anymore. You know what I'm saying? But so I was looking at this list of the 20 most useless degrees in 2024. And I figured you would get a kick out of this. But if we go down this list, advertising is one. Archaeology, art history, communications. I don't know why this is on there, but computer science, which I completely can speak against that because that's going somewhere. Creative writing, criminal justice, culinary arts, education, civilization studies, ethnic and civilization studies, fashion design, film, language, music, philosophy, psychology, studio arts, theater arts, and travel and tourism. Mo, what do you think about that? You got one about to go to college.
So where you stand is determined by where you sit. That's what it is. Because I can argue that there's a need for that, but what you're determining to be success is also going to play a factor in that. Like you said, if your plan wasn't to go and be a master of the universe and become a CEO, it don't really matter what you majored in, because you were majoring in your MRS degree. Like, you were looking to partner with somebody who was the real deal. You know what I mean? So in that respect, nothing changes. Now, on the other side of it, as far as, because in our culture, that's not what, that's not necessarily what they're looking to do when they're going to college. I can actually go back. I can think at least 2 generations where they were being told, our women or our girls were being told, go to college so you don't need a man. And I'm like, and I always would cringe, and I'll be like, okay, like, let's see where this lands for you. Like, I don't agree, but okay. Now, as far as those particular majors, did you say something?
Are you talking about just black women though, or are you saying black women, or are you saying white women and black women are saying going to college because they don't need a man? Because I don't think they're told that on the white side. I don't know.
No, that's what I said. So on the white side, that's what they call it. They go for an MRS degree because they're actually looking to partner with that high achiever.
With their mate. Yeah. Okay.
And conversely, on our side, the black girls are being told, you go to college so you don't need that, right?
Don't black girls get a more aggressive degree though?
Not necessarily, no. We got a bunch of social work degrees, a bunch of, you know what I mean? We got a bunch of that too. And that's just in general. This isn't going to be a politically correct show. The STEM stuff, like, it's less than 5% that have women enrollment in STEM, or I won't say enrollment as far as completion. It's less than 5%. And that's across races for women. Like, they're just not many of them because it's very hard and they get weeded out a lot of times, and they just don't have an interest in it. And they're like, I could make a good living doing something else. Like, yeah, I tried it. No, this ain't gonna work. So I get it. But and like, I understand why the computer science is on there too, because, and I've been saying this for, I don't know, maybe half a year, maybe even a whole year at this point. Like, the people that are already grandfathered into it, men and women, maybe they're good, but the folks that are coming to entry level, like, there's not many jobs for them. Like, literally, like, there's plenty of videos out right now of folks getting these degrees and trying to get, now granted, what they're trying to do, like, they're trying to get the cream of the crop, and if they're not getting that, they're like, oh, well, I guess I can't find a job. They don't want to go, another route, the hard way out the mud, to go and do the tech support and work their way up. They don't want to do that. They're like, so if I'm not coding and I'm not a software developer off rip, well, I guess my degree is null and void. So, I think it's a lot of that as well. But, I can speak from experience. I've seen it, folks got to get it out the mud. You know what I mean? Even with a computer science degree, you got to get it out the mud as a black man or as a minority, like, because they're not walking you into the pearly gates and being like, here's everything, that you need to be successful and live the life that you want to live. Like, you got to fight, claw, and scratch to even get the opportunity for the entry level position with the degree.
Lee?
Yeah. It's funny because I was while I was listening to Reese, man, I had all these different things pop up in my head and all these different questions and things like that, and just thinking about uh what he said about um our women specifically um being taught that go to get a degree because so you don't need no man, and that is true, largely, but it's also socioeconomically true too, because those poor folks on the other side, they telling their kids the same thing, hey, go here so you don't need a man. You know what I mean? The single moms out here from all the other sects that grew up in some of the same areas we grew up in is telling them the same thing, and I still hear it I still hear it today from some of them, to telling their kids or telling their daughters, you know what I mean, go get you a degree so you don't need no man. You know what I mean? You don't have to rely on no man. So yeah, I think it's an issue that's outside of our ethnic group as well, but it's an issue nonetheless. I think that you know education is going to be a huge part of this of getting over this DEI hump, because when you look at all of those things the on that list of 20 jobs that you talked about, or 20 career scopes you talk about, a lot of those are in like the arts or in like the social sciences and things like that.
Well, humanities. Yep.
All types of humanities, and you know what I mean, and those are a lot of the things that they are trying to automate right now, and trying to move into AI, especially in the culinary arts space. You see, I think I've seen a commercial, or so, I don't know if it was, maybe it wasn't a commercial, maybe it was um some kind of interview or something they were doing at a McDonald's somewhere, where they had automated burger flippers in there. That was flipping the burgers, tossing the fries. You know what I mean? So a lot of this stuff is going to be automated, man. In a lot of these spaces, even where you're talking about computer sciences, like a lot of those systems are being automated. Um, so yeah, man, it's gonna be difficult in some of these spaces, because now if you think about the few jobs that might be left, if there is no DEI, we know where these jobs are going. You know what I mean? It's very clear where those jobs are going to be going. Without some kind of program saying you need to at least take an extra step to go and look for it. So yeah, man, I think in the education field, you're definitely gonna have to be thinking about that, as far as what you're gonna end up wanting to go to school for, and maybe that's something that starts at home. We can start teaching that, like, hey, look, man, this is where they're gonna be hiring that. So think about how you can move yourself in that direction, because
Right.
a lot of this stuff is gonna be getting sifted out.
So then that's the next question, right? What do you think the next job boom is going to be?
Cybersecurity.
Okay. A lot
I
of people
really,
are going there though.
I really believe.
I see a tons of people going there.
Yep. Cybersecurity, healthcare.
That's a humanity situation, right? Healthcare is being automated for sure.
But it's
Like,
still, no, well, but it's still STEM. So I think it'll change, but yeah, there's still going to be opportunities in it. Because you can't totally automate it. You know what I mean? If anything, like, there will be certain levels of robotics, but somebody's going to have to operate it, because that's the last thing you want is just.
I'm not talking about surgery though. I'm talking about, like, I feel like I haven't gone to see a actual doctor in a long time. Like a lot of my stuff is on Zoom at this point, right? It's you know what I mean. So now that doctor don't have to leave, that doctor can service so many more people. You
Right.
know
So
what I'm
the only
saying? So
people
it's
that
gonna be
are so the only jobs that go away are like the office managers and stuff like that. You still need a doctor. You know,
you
you
still
might
need a
not need
doctor, right? But
yeah,
the
you might
doctor's
not need as many
aide,
nurses. Yeah, you might
yeah,
not need as many CNAs. You know what I mean? So all the people that was skirting by, it was like, oh, I work in a doctor's office, or the same way we still talk about, oh, I work in tech, and you really wasn't in tech. A lot
yeah.
of that's gonna get exposed, even in the healthcare field. Like I actually just got something today. Is benefits to open enrollment time, and it basically was like, yo, you do this MD Live, like you don't got to worry about going into urgent care no more. Oh, and by the way, it's free. And I was like, say less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so we're willingly gonna give up some of that stuff for some of those jobs for convenience, not realizing that you might actually be chopping off your own hand for that hamburger that's about to get ground up. You just don't know it yet.
What you got to say to that, Lee?
I mean, in that space, I think there is certain there is certain advantages to the teledoc thing. You know what I mean? Because certain things where they don't have to touch or feel you or try to feel a lump or to see if you're in pain in certain areas. I think you can do that. You can get over there. You can tell them your symptoms if you think you got strep throat or something like that, or if you're having an allergic reaction or having an asthma attack or something. You could do that, and they'll send your meds straight over to or your prescription straight over to your local pharmacy. But I do think there's still
Straight to
going
the
to
house
be
now. Amazon Pharmacy, straight to the crib.
you could definitely do that. I don't do that, but you could definitely do that. But yeah, I still think there'll be a need for the actual doctors, and there, I think there's still going to be a super need for the nurses because the nurses provide a service that the doctors don't. You know what I mean? And nurses do a lot of the things that the doctors don't do. Um, I mean, my doctor doesn't draw my blood or anything like that. Usually the nurses come in and take care of that stuff. They don't take my vitals. The doctor usually don't take my vitals. The nurses usually come in and take my vitals and those things. So, I still think there will be a need for it. There is still tons and tons of people out there who don't have access to computers and internet. You know what I mean? I deal with that a lot in, some of the services that I offer. Even, we had the option to go to a digital business card, in my office. And I was like, the partners that I have on my end ain't doing no digital business card. Like they a lot of their like some of them, even if they have cell phones, like some of them, they have old cell phones where you either have to have an app to scan what is that QR code or they have a flip phone or something like that. They got whatever cheap free phone that was available and they don't have that type of connectivity to where they can do that type of stuff on the phone. So I'm like, for me, it doesn't even make sense to try to do this. And then I'm going to one of my partners whose lead volunteer is like an 80-year-old senior. Like it doesn't even make sense for me. So in that regard, I still think there'll be things that make sense for certain crowds, and then other things like it that same 80-year-old senior doesn't want to do a teledoc visit. She wants to be in there. She's used to face visits for her doctor, so or her nurse or whoever it may be. So, I think there will still be a need for some of those services, but in a lot of these other industries, man, I can see some of this stuff, disappearing quickly, like really
Yeah,
quickly.
I think we're the last generation to really benefit from a hand-to-hand situation, right? Like our kids, like them boomers, are about to all die.
Yeah,
Like we're
yeah,
next up in that kind of situation, and we're already getting tuned to the idea of we don't got to leave the crib. You know what I'm saying? To see our doctor, we could probably how
yeah,
you been that way, but yeah, or the idea, um, we could go get our blood drawn at a little center real quick, come right back to the crib, in and out. You know what I'm saying? So they still might have places where you go just to do a blood sample or whatever. But I can see that. Remember how you get you do your piss test when you get in a job. You see, remember how quick that was? Boom, go and get your blood drawn. They do the test. You never seen the doctor physically, but they got your blood XYZ. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And that's the only time you left the crib for real. I mean, before you know it, they'll be coming to your crib and doing it yourself, picking up the blood sample. If not, teaching you how to do it.
Yep, I've done that too, actually.
See,
So back in the day, I won't say back in the day, but like, and it was actually, I want to say, because so I had a really big life insurance policy, and this happened right before COVID. To my knowledge, I didn't even know about COVID yet. But like generally they would send you like to the lab corps of the world. It's like in a little kiosk at like CVS or Walgreens or whatever, where you go give blood and stuff like that. And it was like, no, you know what, you're the platinum package, whatever that meant. They're like, no, we're gonna send to you. And it was a van. It was a van that came to me. They pulled up. It was and it's the privatization of healthcare, right? So this person is, what do they call them? They call themselves it's something right up under a doctor. I can't think of a physician's assistant. That's what they're called. They were a PA. Hey, this thing hopped up out of that van and was doing everything a doctor could do. And then all she wasn't able to do, I believe, was like sign a prescription. And she took my vitals, she took my blood, she took a urinalysis and all that. And it came to the door. And I can see that that's where things are going to go. Because one, they're able to still get the same amount of stuff done. They have the same amount of productivity, but the overhead isn't going to be as much because they can have this physician's assistant do all the work outside of being a doctor. And a doctor just kind of oversees. So I guess they're probably just looking at all the charts and saying, okay, yeah, it looks good. Maybe that person, and then they might even get to a point where it's AI. It was like, this is so much outside of the outliers to say, hey, we need to give that more attention, but everything else looks about good enough to me. And that, so like I said, that was 2019. And I've been doing that ever since. And then I went to a new company. So that's why I went away from it. But now they just farmed it out. Instead of them coming to me, they just sent me to, it's called LabCorp. And it was like just some little like kiosk that they set up in the back of like a CVS or a Walgreens. I think that's a Walgreens. And I was like, and like, it was a whole bunch of us like, what you here for? PO, pistol, and we was all there for different things. Cause it was the weirdest group of people that should have never been together. Because I saw one dude with an ankle bracelet, and I was like, "What's going on here?" Like, it was the weirdest group of characters that were together, and I was like, "Am I in the right place?" And some dudes was like doing it for the DOT physical, and I'm doing it for it. Like, and I was like, "This is the weirdest group of characters together." But yeah, like I could see it going that way, and this is the privatization of it, in the need to maximize profit. I can see that people are going to go about it that way for sure.
That, and I can certainly see like you said, the mobile, because I'm seeing that a lot now. Like they pull up in different neighborhoods, the mobile docs, the mobile physicians, they take your blood, they do all of that stuff right in there, take your blood pressure, check all of that stuff. So I could certainly see that, because it's probably way less to deal with one of them big old mobile vehicles than it is to deal with office space. You know what I mean? Have to pay for that, and the overhead probably crazy on that. But yeah, I can certainly see a lot of these spaces being automated, and I think that's, you talk about what's the next space we going into. AI. You know what I mean? Learning how to operate it, how to manage those things, and how to use those systems. I think that's a good space to, and I don't even know what those degrees look like or what those programs look like. But
It's not even a
I mean,
degree; it's a certificate
yeah,
program.
yeah, because I've
Yep.
been working on a whole bunch of new different AI things that I'm using right now in my daily goings on in the office, man. And those tools are great. You know what I mean? So just learning how to navigate those things, man, I think will put you in a good space, especially in the workforce, because a lot of people don't know how to use it, man. I've been doing these different things, and I have these different things pop up on the screen while I'm having my meetings with my boss and stuff, or doing my one-on-ones. He's like, "What the heck is this? Or what's that?" And I'm like, "Man," that's like, because I got the one little thing that takes the notes, like, because I'm always struggling, like, to listen, be present in the meeting, and take good notes and stuff like that. And I got this little AI program, takes the notes, does a full summary of what we talked about,
Copilot.
and gives me action items. Okay, these are the action items. I'm like, shoot. You know what I mean? Start learning and using those things, man. It'll definitely give you a head start on this next phase of where these jobs are going.
What do you think about this opportunity being? So does these changes, right? All these orders are getting signed. The changes are going in with these companies. Well, one question I want to ask: what kind of backlash do you think, or what kind of backlash you think from that these companies are going to suffer from, for that are like saying, "Hey, we don't care about it. We're getting rid of our program." You know what I'm saying? Like you got the companies like Walmart and Target, and was it Walmart? I think it was, but Facebook, Meta, Target, I know was one of them. I know Amazon. Amazon got a lot of black employees, so or a lot. They have a very diverse background, actually, workforce. What kind of backlash do you think is going to, or you don't think they'll get a hit at all?
Yeah, there's gonna be backlash. I don't think it'll be enough to actually move a needle to make them bring it back. Because let's be honest, man, when it comes down to these Fortune 500 companies and these big dogs, this considered too big to fail, it's about dollars and cents. So like they were getting, people don't realize this, but there were monies incentivizing these companies to do these things, like after the George Floyd and stuff like that. So now that money welled up, I remember I had a really wild conversation. I was out and this was actually during COVID. I had a really wild conversation with some folks that was big in the DEI space or whatever, right? And it just like we were up there presenting, and I wasn't, dressed like anything because we were still prepping. So I was dressed like this or whatever. So had to the bag and stuff like that. So they probably didn't know who I was. And it was a group of sisters that was having a conversation. And I kind of overheard, I was kind of ear hustling. I overheard, and I said something about, well, DEI. I was like, yeah, that's dope. However, because they had just basically got DEI, executive jobs or whatever. And I was like, that's dope. But I've been in this space for years. And I was like, yo, that's not tied to anything that's tangible. I was like, that's almost like a humanity or an elective. So I was like, what you need to do is parlay that into something that actually has P&L responsibilities and actually is a money driver for a company. Like, so just use that as a way to get into the C-suite, but be willing to pivot. And I remember they looked at me like, man, what you know? Like, man, put the fries in the bag. Like, that's how they was looking at me and like kind of the feedback that they gave me. So when I went, I just was like, oh, okay. So when I went and, got suited and booted, I came out and I was presenting. They was like, I was like, so like this is like, but like I called this, what was that in 2020, 2021 when all this happened? I called this back then. I was like, yo, like this is funny money. This is them propping it up. And, I would imagine we'll probably get to the stat that's been going around is as far as the executive roles that got created in DEI, 76% of them were white women. Like, I mean, like
run me my woman back. Run me my
like,
woman back. She gonna stop divorcing me.
You know what I mean? Like, so
give me my lady back.
And if nothing else, man, I mean, I think women are way smarter than we give them credit for. They're as loyal as their options. And you know what? That's human nature. Let me not put that on in. People are as loyal as their options. So you know what I mean? So if I could have my independence and still live the quality of life, yeah, I'm gonna do it. But I gotta be, mindful of, well, that job that I got in communications executive ain't gonna be there no more. I'm less likely to walk out of a marriage and be less cooperative to that husband. So yeah, like I said, man, and this goes back to what I said at the very opening, man, this is about making America great again for the people that it was created for initially. Yeah. Like, it ain't really about spanking us, because I mean, yeah, like we're not even on their radar enough to be spanked. Like, they're just trying.
You think we think we're bigger than what we are? We truly are?
Oh, 100%. 100%. 100%. Like, I say it all the time. Like,
we'll say that 2 days away from Black History Month.
Listen, look, I just had this conversation recently. We are so gung-ho to look like we're successful or look like we made progress versus actually putting in the work and going through the initial discomfort of actually becoming successful and actually moving the needle. You know what I mean? The stuff that the civil rights movement went through, like, they went through it, to actually get, you know, it wasn't as much as people think it was. It wasn't just, oh, we won't go, you know what I mean? It wasn't just marching and crying. Like they actually were willing to put in some sweat equity and actually put it down to get some of this stuff to happen. Whereas we just want to be keyboard warriors and be like, oh, let's get rid of whomever and boycott all these companies. Like, and actually, if y'all know who a lady by the name of Tabitha Brown is, she's somebody who became a really big deal because some of her products went into Target through that DEI initiative. And here's the thing: we always talk about money and we talk about money and race. At the end of the day, even Black people, when they're in business, green matters. And so she was like, "Well, wait a minute. I know y'all coming to my defense talking about y'all gonna boycott. Hey, I still have a contract for another year. So be mindful that if you boycott them, one, you're lessening my leverage to negotiate with them, and then potentially you're going to put me out of business."
I'm getting good at this because you're just talking right into the next point. But go ahead, Lee. You got something to say before I ask the next question?
Now go ahead, hit the next question.
So do you think a new Black Wall Street will arise now that it's clear that there's no DEI? You know what I'm saying? We're not helping y'all. You got to be the best talent of the best talent. You know what I'm saying? To survive. Compete, right? That's something we say all the time, right? You got to compete at this point. Will a new Black Street come out of this? Now that we know there's nobody here to help us.
No.
Elaborate on that, because I mean,
we don't have the infrastructure and we don't have the necessity. So it doesn't make sense to do it yet. If there ever comes a time where they're like, you know, they start rolling it back to where we can't use water fountains and we got to go around the back to, you know, then maybe they'll do something like that. But no, I don't see a Black Wall Street coming until there's a necessity for it. And we still want to be accepted by the white man or by the dominant society. So until we lose that, no, we're never going to go and create our own. Oh, and then I know we didn't necessarily do it this week. We were talking about, you know, usually we do what you feed in your soul or what you come up with or whatever. So I didn't hear about this and I put it in the group chat. This was something new to me. Back in '96, Gaddafi had actually offered Minister Farrakhan $1 billion to kind of help with our plight and to kind of level the playing field. And the American government was like, nah, we ain't doing none of that. No. So, I mean, I think it's that, you know, a lot of that is part of it. Like, and I think ultimately, until we actually get to a point to where it says we have to, no, we ain't going nowhere. No. And yeah, he's right. You know, we're way too comfortable to actually go through the fire at this point.
What you think, Lee?
I mean, that was my point. So, you know what I mean? Kudos to who was that? Mr. Edwards, for taking the words out of my mouth, you thief. But I that's exactly what I always say, man. Is like we have hit a level of comfort to where, you know what I mean, we've learned how to to move in the system, how to scam the system, how to get things from the system so that we look like we have more than we have, and we are in a space of our own mental success where we are stunting on other broke people. It's pretty much broke people stunting on other broke people, and I don't think that there is especially when you look at these other, you look at, you know, the state of our culture. You look at the BET awards. We talked about this before. You look at some of these things, the things that they are putting out there for us to grab at. It's not even, it's more status than ownership. You know what I mean? It's like creating these cultures and creating these things, creating these fads, but not owning any of it. You know what I mean? So I don't think that we will. I don't think that there is going to be a new creation of a Black Wall Street. One, because we're too comfortable with, you know, where we at, and two, because I just think that even if we tried to do it again and we got to a space where it was like, you know, we got to do it, and somehow majestically we all come together for a common cause in this world right now, I think it will be burned down. quickly and utterly. It'd probably be it'd be called terrorism, domestic terrorism or something. Like I don't think that one, we're willing to get to that space to be so uncomfortable that we're willing to put everything on the line, to sacrifice and really put our lives on the line to make some of those things happen. And then all it would literally take, and that's it disheartens me, but all it would take is for one person, one significant person out of the movement to get a leg up for them to turn their back on the movement. Oh, well, I got mine. Me and my family good. And then now it crumbles. You know what I mean? So I don't think there will be no time soon. Um, I think it'll take another generation or two for for our people to get to a level of discomfort, to be able to say, you know what, we're going to fight this. Even like I think our children, they just look at the world differently. They don't look at it through the same eyes. So if our children are already in this space, then maybe their children will be in this space and say, you know what, we've had enough, and they'll be ready to fight. But we're not equipped for war. We're not equipped for the fight. We are docile. Most of us don't even have any weapons or guns training. Most of us don't know how to grow our own food. So we have a black wall. We just got a black street. Can't feed ourselves. Can't protect ourselves. Can't do nothing. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't see it coming no time soon.
Man, y'all just sound so defeated. Like y'all have no hope for us. You know what I'm saying? Like I would at least think, and maybe that's just my hopeful, wishful thinking, that like once you realize nobody's there to help you, a spark turns on. We're like, all right, I gotta get it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, I'll create my own. You know, Target ain't selling this, or even like that lady, right? She had a contract with Target. I would think it's her opportunity to only maybe collab and build a different store, or you know what I mean, start to branch out on her own, and you know what I mean, really push her own initiative. That's just you know what I mean. That's what I would think, that entrepreneurs and people that produce
Yeah.
products would turn up like, all right, let's create our own market. I've been hit up plenty of times for people wanting to create a mobile or a cyber black Wall Street. People like, I've had a few people asking me to create this product already. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, sure, I'll create it for you. You got the finances for it. You know what I'm saying? But it's always
Do it for free. Do it for the love.
It's always want to love, and I just I can't do it off of love. You know what I'm saying? Because that's
because in this society,
job.
it's about capitalism.
Yeah.
And then even down here, they actually have the new Black Wall Street market down here. I've actually
you
been
checked
there.
it out. You checked it out.
What
was it like?
Sometimes
Do it need love? It just needs love, or what are you saying? Is it like in class? Is it the class thing of it?
Organization. Now granted, it was a soft launch, so maybe things are better, but it just was, it needed some organization. It needed some strategy put into it. I mean, like I think,
does it look like a swap meet, or is this somewhere nice
Yeah.
that somebody would want to be? Oh, it look like a swap meet.
Yeah.
Got you. Well, so think about the idea. Somebody made something that looks nice somewhere, you know what I mean? Maybe like a high-end black food market. You know what I'm saying?
So here's the thing though. So I think they went about it the right way. Like they had the infrastructure or whatever. Like think of it like you got the structure and you got the foundation of something that was quality. Because I'm assuming it used to be a mall. Like it was quality, but then what they did was they, what you call it, like booth rent, everybody just came in and they were leasing out, and it was janky on the inside, you know what I mean? So you got a plush real estate, but you out here leasing it to janky promoters. It's gonna ruin the brand. Yeah. So but at the same time, like you got to make money, so you have to so you have to be you have to kind of be mindful of what you bring into it. But yeah, I mean, like, so I wanted to circle back to something you said. It's fun. I won't speak for Leifer, but I'm definitely not defeated. I'm willing to pivot, to go about it a different way. Because I don't think to just say, at least cold turkey, I don't think cold turkey is the way to go. We too used to being, we always talk about our kids being,
Go ahead,
Toothless
Toothless
tigers. Yeah,
Yeah.
toothless tigers. Like we're toothless tigers compared to our grandparents. Like, you know what I mean? So if they turn the lights off tomorrow and we was off the grid and had to live like, my grandfather was born in 1929, like I couldn't live like that. Like I'd be like, look, and I'm not willing to say, that I might not, bear arms and have to go and take something, you know what I mean? Because I would be uncomfortable to the point to where I can't live like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we need to be mindful, and we need to be strategic about how we move. We can't cut off our nose to spite our face. And more so than I'm saying that our community is going to go down by itself, I'm saying that if anything, we'll go down with the ship versus us going down by ourselves. Because we are the fabric of America. Like as America goes, I think we go. Because we are Americans. Like I think that's the part that people don't really, for whatever reason, they don't correlate. They're like, oh, you're African. Like we don't really have any ties to Africa. Like this is our homeland. This is who we are. So as this country goes, we go, like, because we don't have anywhere to escape. And that's what I always talk about when we have these discussions. Like, so don't tether yourself to somebody who could flee and be like, oh, we tried, and they go back home, and you like, well, where I'm gonna go?
They actually benefit more from the DEI initiative than we ever have. You know what I'm saying? So it's a wild situation where they'll be like, oh, they've adopted the more of a pull yourself up by the bootstraps, theology. More like the white people don't even got to say it to us no more. They'd be like,
we said something crazy one time in the group chat that talked about that. Like they was talking about bootstraps or whatever, but they got their foot on their neck or something. Like that was a bar. Like I'm telling you, like that's literally what's going on. Like they're coming over here stealing resources and taking it back to where they from,
Are they stealing the resources, or are they just taking advantage of the opportunities? You know what I'm saying? That we don't necessarily see. I think a lot of it is we don't even know.
You don't see the privilege that you have is invisible to you because you think it's your birthright. So what ends up happening is, like you said, yeah, they are stealing it. Like, so for example, one of the things that Trump said when he's doing this whole ICE initiative where he's deporting people, he was like, yo, a lot of what they're doing with these anchor babies, that wasn't what it was intended for. Like the 14th Amendment, he said that was created for the descendants of slaves. Like you were born free because you were brought here. Not you could just bring anybody here, drop a baby, and then now you're a citizen. Like that. So that delineation and what they're doing is they're, to take it back to a football analogy, like when you were recruiting, they would basically build a fence around the area that they didn't want to get poached. So if we did that, that's how you strengthen your base again, by not letting people come and poach. You know what I mean? So you vet who comes in a little bit better, and you make sure that you're getting as much as they're taking. And then,
so are you saying it was on black people to protect?
To protect what?
Their opportunities that foreigners come over and
100%. 100%. We're always too sharing, and we're always willing to break our half a loaf to share.
Sharing? Yeah, people say that we're loving and we're sharing.
We're so accepting.
I don't necessarily see that.
We're so accepting.
No,
okay, I'll put it to you like this way. Look, you say that, right? Okay, so look, y'all say that, right? Okay, when's the last time you seen a black person go into a white neighborhood, open up a business, and and just have their way with them? Never. Because they're like, oh no,
we can't.
Why can't we? We got money. We can.
We don't have money.
I'll put it to you this way. Here, I'll give you an example. So back when I was really trying to get to this bread, I remember I was doing a I won't say a hustle. I was trying to sell. I was selling detergent, right? And I remember I went out to a flea market, and it's predominantly Mexicans, right? So I went over there. I had the cheap work. I'm like, hey man, I got this, and they would look, man, they smell it, man. I saw a dude down there taste it, but he wouldn't buy, right? And I'm like, yo, your clothes don't get dirty, like what's happening? So and it's all like boots or whatever. So there was a Mexican lady who was sitting across from me. She was selling like little beaded stuff or whatever. And at the end of the day, man, I might have sold one or two. And she came up to me and was like, yo, they're not going to buy from you because they stick to their own. But here's what we can do. Why don't we cut a deal? I'll buy it from you at wholesale, and then I'll Yo, we were doing numbers for months. We were doing numbers. I would buy a truckload. As many I could fit in a doggone car. I pull up to her, she give me mine, and I make a couple bucks off each bucket and stuff like that, because they were willing to stick together and they was only willing to buy from their own. We're too accepting. They wasn't going to let me come into their community, make money off of them, and not reciprocate. Whereas we allow it to happen all the time. We allow it to happen all the time.
Well, I think it's a white ice is better, or you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's necessarily a forgiving thing, because we're not forgiving amongst each other. We're ruthless to each other. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we see ourselves through our oppressor's eyes. That's why. Because we I can't remember where I heard this before. I heard a dude say, yo, he was about to go rob somebody or something like that, or about to go kill him or something like that. And he said the only thing that stopped him was he saw a white man when he was on his way to go pull out. And he was like, I'm gonna really go to jail. I was like, wait, what? I was like, golly, so we don't see enough value in each other.
Why you say we loving it? So that
to each other,
we're not loving. We're not a loving group.
To each other,
to outsiders,
yes,
to the outside community. When the settlers and all that came to Africa, oh, come on in. They welcomed them in. Never seen them before. When they came to America. But then, what? Come on in. We was in those numbers here, welcoming them in too. And then now we still welcome them in. They come, like he said, we coming to the communities, open the businesses and everything, and we welcome them in. We are welcoming to everybody,
but our own,
other than our own, other than our outside of Big Mama, because Big Mama usually let everybody, all the knuckleheads, move in with her. You know what I mean? So
not these big mamas nowadays.
Right.
I don't even know if there are big mamas nowadays. You know what I mean? That's the rap. They live in their
mama
best
gotta
life.
have a life too. That's what these grandmas are saying. I just seen somewhere a 76-year-old woman got pregnant. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I saw that.
Not now. These big mamas is different.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that.
So here's the thing, right? So not only like Trump also was didn't he froze up the assets like those needs or whatever? And I see people bucking back yeah, this will make you stay with your family now, or this will teach you how to not get on welfare about them babies or something like that. And you kind of mentioned black people learning how to scam the system, right? But when there is no system, I think if they're pulling all the stops away, we got no choice but to mend together and create a situation where we could trade goods or whatever. I think we're always in a place where people will still feed us or take our money, I think they give us so much opportunity to take our money because they could just openly just advertise to us, you know what I mean, make it so convenient for us because they have control over the environment. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that we're allowing people to come in. It's more of these people got control over what happens here for real. And yes, we're living in this environment, but it's like being kids in your parents' house. You know what I'm saying? It's like we dad said you can't smoke in the house. You know what I'm saying? And then when somebody comes in and sells us something in the crib, we don't got no choice but to buy this Chinese food because we hungry real quick. You know what I mean? Or to buy this pizza shop from this Italian guy because that's what they allow to move in because they're controlling how things get distributed in their own environments. So is it us really being loving and forgiving and letting people come in, or we just don't got control in the first place? I think it's more of that.
I don't think you're wrong.
Still don't have to patronize.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think you're wrong, but I still think it's a choice because it's more convenient. So let's say in Swissvale, right? Let's say there was a pizza shop, at the corner of Valtrees or whatever, and there was another one that would have been 2 blocks down that you would have had to walk.
Amos Pizza or something like that. Yeah.
There was a brother one, and maybe a slice was $1 more. Would you be willing to walk past Valtrees and go walk a whole extra mile and pay $1 more for the voucher for the?
Why is it $1 more?
Because we don't have control of the environment, so their raw goods cost is more.
Right. So do we are we really being friendly, or just are we in survival mode and we're just trying to make it hey, let me get this slice of pizza now? You know what I'm saying? But when I'm trying to stretch every dollar, me spending that extra $1 at the pizza, one of them kids ain't eating.
So regardless of why they do it, because whether they're doing it to be friendly or they're doing it for survival, we talked about it. Like, you're not willing to make the sacrifice for the overall good. And I think that's the issue. Like, we can't say we're ready for a revolution if we're not ready to have some discomfort.
What's your thoughts on it, Lee?
No, I completely agree, man, because and I don't think we're ready for a revolution. I don't think we're ready for um another Black Wall Street. I don't think we're ready. And and, part of me does feel defeated in some ways, just because I see how some of us operate, you know what I mean? They're so enamored by I think I've said this line over and over in my head all throughout the day. I can't remember what Kanye album it was on, but he said they make you love their wealth and hate yourself. You know what I mean? And it seems like in the culture, people are so elated by, "Oh, I'm gonna get to the bag, I'm gonna get the money, I'm gonna get to this." It's like money over morals. You know what I mean? And whenever it's money over morals, you will always choose yourself and your pockets over the collective. And I just don't know if that, like, there's never been an individual mindset that created a collective economic system. So there's no way to take your individuality, because you're focused on your thing, and say, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and to try to build the collective. You're not willing to make the sacrifice. You're gonna do whatever you can for yourself, for you and yours. And I think that's one of the things that's being created in our culture, a bunch of separate individuals who make something for themselves, but none of them were coming together to build nothing, man. And I think that's the thing that really disheartens me, because I just, you know and people see that and they'll use that. Well, oh, well, this person is successful, this person is successful, so this doesn't exist. I'm like, well, that's individuals. They always gonna have some individuals that come in, because then they create gatekeepers, and they say, "Oh, well, you don't let this out, or you don't let that person in," and then that hinders the process of being able to build that collective, man. I think I was seeing him before, but I really wasn't. I really didn't. It really didn't latch on until Recess something. I think his name is, what is, John Hope Bryant. That was his
Yeah,
name. And I
yeah.
and I really started like listening to the things that he was saying, since Mo said something. And I was like, because this is the same thing I've been saying for so long. Like, you know what I mean? You have, that's financial literacy. You have to think about group economics. You got to think about ways to come together. You know what I mean? You got to think about ways to change your mindset, because that's the biggest issue, is the mindset. Your focus is on looking instead of actually being. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that we have to change in our community for us to really take these things to the next level, because they don't take us seriously. Nobody takes us seriously,
Mm.
Why would
although
they?
we have one of the biggest economic bases as a Black community, as far as creating, and there's no ownership
You
of
know,
the
you
actual
know,
things
you
that
know
we're
what's
creating.
crazy? You know what's crazy? And this it's disappointing to me is in my field of STEM. Um, I was on a pod earlier with a guy, African guy. It's about the same topic, man. And he's saying, like, the one guy, African dude, he's kind of young, but he's computer engineer guy, and he's like, y'all complaining about people taking these jobs. I don't even see African Americans applying to STEM jobs. Like, y'all don't even apply.
I'll say, you talking about applying, they're not qualified. Enough of us aren't even qualified to apply.
To apply, but we're not even going for it. Like, not only we're not going for it, and yeah, you got to study for it. We're not in the
Right.
major, so just like the women, for real. You know what I'm saying? It's the same. Like I said, even in 2006, I was the first Black computer engineer out of my school. So it's kind of like it's weird, because there was a bunch of us that started in the major together. And when
Yeah.
the teacher was like, look to your left, look to your right, they not going to be there when it's all said and done. You know what I'm saying? And for that to actually be true, it's like dang, like I thought there was a lot more HBCUs pumping this out, but evidently they're not picking it either. And I think my whole goal was I just want us to pick it and start applying to it and be in it instead of we always want to bail out and do something else. You know what I'm saying? And I wish we were there to apply. So it was disheartening hearing him even confirm that, like, man, these opportunities are here, but it's the Africans, it's the Indians, it's the Asians applying to these jobs. And yeah, they're eating up the DEI or whatever. Y'all complaining about it, but y'all not even applying to these jobs. Maybe y'all should apply to them at least. Like, you know what I mean? We ain't gonna get in. I ain't gonna say we're gonna get in.
That wasn't where I was going to go.
What was you gonna say?
Golly, I was trying not to do this tonight. So again, that's somebody we don't come from, like, let's keep in mind these people that are, foreign DEI hires and stuff like that. A lot of them, man, keep in mind, man, they were the 1%, and they didn't have all the stuff stacked against them. So it's easy to be like, look at me. Why you not do me? Like, I'm like, yo, like, my mom was 16 when she had me. Like, you know what I mean? Like they didn't live like we lived. Like, so it's easy to when you at the finish line to be like, look, why? I almost says, why you not be like me? And I'm like, yo, you ain't had to run the race that I've had to run. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but like, man,
you got to go through a lot to get. You got to go to a lot to even run the race.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they don't either, because I've been in them countries, man. Some of them grew up harder than we did, but I'm just saying, like,
they still got their families though, and I think that's a huge part of it.
That's a huge part, 100%. That's a huge part of it. I don't know to not even have knowledge of self is, man. I'm telling you, man. Like, hell, for those of us that have coached, man, you be telling folks, you be like, man, 50% of life is confidence. And not knowing knowledge of self, or not knowing where you come from and stuff like that, like, man, that takes away that confidence. So yeah, I mean, you might have the ability, but you don't have the willpower to persevere through to get to the end result. So it's just one of those things where, and I'm not making excuses, but I'm just saying there's a reason why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and I don't necessarily believe that computer science was our way out. Like, I know a lot of people think that, but like that wasn't the way anyway. I think we need to have sprinkles of us in everything.
Why wouldn't you say that? Because it's clearly what makes the money, right? That's what that's what everybody's doing that's making money. Is being in STEM, right? It's either that or finances, but Indians, Asians, and then Africans are dominating the computer science space, the STEM space, right? Then you got your white people, then you got very few African Americans. Like, I'm such a minority, and it's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
So for example, what I'm saying is there's a limited number of spaces anyway, right? So all of us rushing to this doorway because there's a free lunch behind it, some of us still gonna starve. So we need to be strategic for the people who are good at that, and the people that are the best and brightest at it, support them and push them towards that door. Okay, now that y'all that aren't maybe as good as that, let's find another door for you. And I think I always talk about it's the possibility versus the probability. So I want us all to be successful in that way. That lifts the floor versus us, everybody's just reaching for the sky. And if you don't hit the moon, it's just, it's a failure.
But
like,
here's the difference with STEM though. There's still so much raw material out there that could be cultivated. You know what I'm saying? It's not like trying to go to the NBA where there's like 32 teams. I don't know how many teams in the NBA, but I guess in the NFL there's 32 teams and that's it. And we got to depend on another billionaire white guy or somebody to build two more teams to have another access to a door. So it's not like that. There's still a lot of raw material that we can take advantage of in the AI space, in the development space, in the app space. There's a lot of raw material out here. People are making things out of thin air, and we already see that human resources are being removed, or what is it? Whatever you said, human services. Human services is what's being attacked, right? Is what's being automated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bang, find a human service, automated.
So I agree with that. Fine. So, but that's my point. Finding another door, but just going after this coding door, I don't think that's like I'm telling you, I don't think that was gonna save us. I think finding a door that best suits you, that it's probable versus possible. I think that's the wave that we need to define. And like so for example, like instead of like I'll say in mass, a lot of us African Americans or FBAs, whatever you want to call us, we may not be going into STEM, but we're thinking that our wave is going to be entrepreneurship. Everybody's not going to be. It's the same theory. Everybody's going into that door, but all of us aren't going to be successful at it. So just because you're not going to be a successful entrepreneur doesn't mean that you should live in poverty either. So that's what I'm saying is we need to diversify our resources and our talents to be able to do different things, and then that way we could raise the floor, and then we could all have a different level of living.
Is it possible? Let me get this out. It's going to be real quick. Black people were once the symbol of excellence when it came to service goods or whatever. At some point, like we've produced good work at once upon a time, right? How could we get to a point where we could start producing top tier work again, and at the same time be fair and not gouge each other doing it?
So there's no place for fair, right? So
not fair, but not gouge each other, because like I said, if you go to a black restaurant here, right, it's going to be $3 more, or no, it's going to be $100 more for at that restaurant. Like let's be frank, right? You go to a black restaurant here, you're going to end up spending $1,000. Like it's going to be way more. Black tax everywhere. How could we eliminate the black tax? I guess is what I'm asking. So and still produce good work.
Yeah, so I don't want to eliminate it. Provide a better experience that you're getting what you paid for. That's what I would suggest. Like think about it. Back in the day, like they talk about up in Harlem in the Cotton Club and stuff like that. Like even when like they really had their foot on their neck, like they still was coming to our club because we provided a better experience. So provide an experience that is worth the money that you're paying. So if it's comparable to the other spot across the street, but it's $100 more, it's an easy decision. But if you can only get this experience and this level of memory and this level of quality of whatever it is that they're providing there, they're going to pay. Like they have to pay for it if they want to be a part of it. And it's really that simple. Like I've always mentioned this when it comes to DEI and affirmative action. I was like, it's gotten to the point where we're looking for the opportunity to fail instead of like, yo, once they let me in, I'm going to be like, y'all don't realize I'm way better than y'all. Once y'all give me the opportunity, I'm going to take this over. Like, think about that's how it was in sports. Like, them Power Fives, like these kids was at HBCUs getting it in. And they're like, yo, if I ever get over in there, I know I'm going to do these dudes dirty. And then once they got the opportunity, they did. Versus being like, if I could just get in there and I could get an NIL deal, I don't even got to play. I could just be on the sideline and get an NIL deal. Like, that's not how you get an opportunity. The same way, we're talking about foreigners, because they're exemplary in what they're doing. Like they're focusing on coding or whatever, and they're coming in and they'll be like, yo, if you give me this opportunity, you're never going to get me back out of this door because I'm going to be so good at it. Like I'm so hungry. And I think that's the problem. Like we're not providing the level of service that we're willing to charge, that we're willing to get for that said service. And I think that's the problem. Like we're too complacent.
I like what you said. It made me forget my whole dang point that I was waiting to say. But no, it's all good because I like that, and maybe it'll help me go back into it. But that is an amazing point that you bring up, man. Their circumstances in a lot of cases is way more dire, and they are more hungry. Whereas a lot of us could just eat. You know what I mean? I think I said this on another one. Hey, I can eat. You know what I mean? They're hungry, starving, do whatever to make this happen. You know what I mean? Do whatever to make it happen. And a lot of us aren't in that space, to be able to do that. And I think for us to do anything to get to the next level, man, that level of desire, that level of hunger is going to have to be there in order to be able to compete, because we're not even competing. And it's crazy because like Mo said, we are the fabric of this society. It does not move without us. All the innovation, all the style, all the, you know what I mean? It just everything that encompasses this, we're woven into it. You know what I mean? Somebody said, they call it some white guy. They call him a European American, right? And you're oh yeah, you're this European American. He got mad. No, I'm just American. Why would you keep calling me European American? Why you keep you call them African American and you call them Asian American. You call him Latino American. You're not from here either. You
You might be
European.
onto something. We need to be more
Yeah.
petty.
You know, you European. So they're like, okay, well, then we need to make sure that we take pride in this too. You know what? There is no American society without us. We're just as much American as everybody else, regardless of what they say. And that is our claim. That is our ownership.
If not
We have
more.
to own that. That is our ownership. You know what I mean? And stop feeling like you have to prove that you deserve to be here. No, we built this country. Do you deserve to be here? And that's what the real question has to be. We over here worried about DEI and all of this other stuff, and it's just like, man, we've always had what it takes to build our own. We've always had what it takes to create. We've always had the innovative mind state. Nobody was trying to create these things to make life easier for us. You know what I mean? We had to create these things to make it easier for us. So it's like we already have in us innate what it takes to build and create the type of society that we want to be in. All it takes is for us to be hungry enough. You hungry? Or can you just eat?
With that, we close out, man. And I don't like to keep y'all past an hour. It was a great show. Hey, support the pod. Buy one of the products at Effing Focus, Prototype Dad hashtag. You want to support, you could just, hit the Cash App. Also, we're sponsored by Smack and Sunflower Seeds too. They just got new flavors. They got lemon pepper and they got some flower flavors over there. They got like a it's a like a dill, and then they have this jalapeno cheddar. Just go check it out. You know what I'm saying? But support the pod that way. And yeah, that's another Prototype Dad. And we out. Peace.